I am not a lawman, just a layman. My relationship to the judicial system and the law is, I have always been at the receiving end of both. For the first time when I was produced before a magistrate, I was raising slogans that don't believe in this bourgeois judicial system, etc. One judge gave me life imprisonment, then it was changed to death, and I was a part of the death row and spent 15 years in prison as a life convict. My affinity to the prison life is not yet over. I am always ready to cross the thin line between freedom and prison. And as for the laws, through my own experience and through theoretical study, I believe in the rule of law. This law may be bad, this law may be cruel, but we need another law, not a lawless conditions. In that sense, what we are faced with today is, in the name of law, so many lawless things happen. What is a Draconian law or a black law? Once the Rowlatt Act was called a black law, and laws like Tada, Pota and now APSC, they are all called Draconian laws. I just looked back into the origin of this word Draconian. Draco was a Greek lawgiver. Rightly or wrongly, his name has been added to these bad laws. He was the first lawgiver of Greece, some 7th century BC, before Christ himself. When Athenian citizens for the city-state of Athens asked him to write a law. Up to that time, there was no written law at all. Maybe it was the same case in Rome, in other parts of the world. Greece was the pioneer in the rule of law, in republicanism, etc. So he wrote the first written constitution in the world, the Athenian constitution, Draco. But that constitution was a very harsh one. The part of it was a penal code which prescribed very harsh sentences without any mercy. For even minor offences, death sentence was the norm. But it was more harsh towards those who could not honor their debts. Debtors who could not repay were murdered slaves, and they became part of the slave community, etc. Somehow, even unconstitutional laws, lawless laws, are now being called, in his name, the Draconian laws. As we know, the first ever black law or Draconian law in India was the Rowlatt Act, 1919. Gandhiji for once attended the Central Parliament at that time just to hear Srinivas Sastry speak against Rowlatt Act. It was he who called the act a lawless law. A law to be lawful should be rational, just and equitable. The victim of law should be given a chance, an ample opportunity to defend himself, etc. When in the name of law itself, that opportunity is taken away, It is called a lawless law. Only later on, harshness of law was opposed by the mercy of law. The merchant of Venice, Portia, addressed Shylock and asked for his mercy. And the quality of mercy is not strained. Is a famous word from Portia. Shakespeare speaks in that name. The quality of mercy is not strained, it droppeth as a gentle rain from heaven upon the place beneath. And mercy, as you know, is now not part of magnanimity or not part of begging, but it is part of jurisprudence. The judgment in which Chief Justice Sadasiva reduced the death sentence of so many people, including those sentenced to the Rajiv case, he said, "We as a republic are proud of moving forward in the realm of mercy jurisprudence or clemency jurisprudence." I, as a prisoner, as a death sentence myself, has a good amount of experience in handling this mercy jurisprudence. So Draconian law is merciless. It doesn't show any mercy to the victim of law. And I would like to mention a few Draconian laws that we have had the experience of. The one is, as you know, called shortly TADA, Terrorist and Disruptive Activities Prevention Act. TADA is no more there. From 1985 to 95 it was there. In 1995 the parliament allowed it to lapse. The party, the government which moved TADA in parliament itself allowed it to lapse. But so many cases have been filed on TADA, particularly in the Rajiv murder case. The Supreme Court ruled that TADA was not applicable to the case. All those accused were acquitted of charges under TADA because it was not considered an act of terrorism, as the act defines terrorism as to be whoever with the intent to overthrow the government as by law established, or to strike terror in the people of any section of the people, or to alienate any section of the people, and it goes on like that. This is terrorism, to overthrow the state, to terrorize the people at large, not just an act of violence, with or without weapons, not just an act of revenge. Actually, that murder was considered only a revenge, act of revenge, not an act of terrorism. But even then, due to the high profile of the deceased, the high advertisement given to the case, and all the politics behind that, the Supreme Court, after acquitting them of charges under TADA, after taking the case as to be irrelevant to TADA, relied on the evidence collected under the same TADA. They accepted the extrajudicial confessions given by the accused, a police officer, not only acceptable in that case, but also acceptable in the case of their co-accused. And they didn't even order a retrial in the case, as they did in some other cases. For the case of Kalpana Trai, etc. All this has been widely discussed in legal circles. And then when Tada was gone, then came POTO, Prevention of Terrorism Ordinance. The Tamil Nadu government then under Kalaignar Karunanidhi, they brought up POTO, Prevention of Terrorism Ordinance. Then it was made an all India ordinance, then that ordinance was turned properly, regularized by parliamentary legislation into POTA, Prevention of Terrorism Act. Minor differences were there between Tada and POTA. In Tada cases, you cannot go on and appeal to the High Court, you can only go to the Supreme Court. But here, the High Court was included as a step of appeal. And as both Tada and POTA were widely misused with political motives, very important people were put behind bars. As we know, in Tamil Nadu, a prominent political leader, Vaiko, was held under POTA for a speech in favor of the tigers. I will support the tigers, etc. Which doesn't come under the definition of a terrorist act at all. But he was made to cool his heels in prisons for more than 18 months. And as such people were involved, in the north too, some Congress leaders were held under POTA. So they formed review committees, and those review committees were in the beginning only advisory. Later on, they were given the teeth of power and their decision, but that could not be availed of by ordinary people. We have people here like Gunamudi Alifa or Magdani, who spent not less than a decade in prison and at the end acquitted of all the charges. They could not get bail as it was Tada POTA. And one POTA accused, we all know, he is Professor Gilani of Kashmir, working in a Delhi University. He was actually sentenced to death by the designated court along with Afzal Guru. But later on the High Court released him. But even then Gilani said, this is not justice because they have convicted and confirmed the sentence of Afzal Guru, etc. And you know the famous words used by the Supreme Court in itself in that case as the collective conscience of the nation which makes him confirm the sentence. So more than the evidence, more than the material evidence, more than the reasons, more than the witnesses, this collective conscience of the nation had a role to play. Even in the Rajiv Gandhi case, while differing on whether to confirm the death sentence on Nalini, Thomas was against confirming it, but Bhagwan, the other judge, Kadri, they wanted to confirm it. They again sought refuge in the argument of the collective conscience of the nation, etc. So these laws, the one thing is very important. The parties, the ruling parties at the center, they enacted these laws either through ordinance or through legislation. But they themselves dropped it like a hot pot in their hands, because they could not hide the fact that these are draconian laws. They cannot be justified beyond some extent. So the Congress party which enacted Tada itself allowed it to lapse after 10 years. Then Pota, when the Congress government came back in 2004, in a year or so they dropped it. But let us not be cheated. They really retain the same clauses in the name of another. Tada was allowed to lapse, but it had its resurrection in the name of Pota. Pota in certain respects was harsher than Tada itself. The definition of what terrorism is, its scope was broadened in Pota. Even a government official striking work may be charged with terrorism under Pota, not under Tada. So they, with or without a pen, with an explosive or without an explosive, the government feels there is a threat to the security, threat to whatever they may call public order, etc. They can use that, use these acts. And when Tada and Pota, both of them vanished, all those lethal provisions were included in UAPA, what they call Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. Those who are conversant with the political history of Tamil Nadu will remember well that it was this act in its original version induced Anna to drop his demand for Draconian. In 1963, a committee was formed to consider drafting a law which could be effective in preventing challenges to the integrity and sovereignty of India, etc. The news came that such a committee has been formed. The government is considering such an act, that's all. No act was there. Immediately Anna announced, no, even though there are valid reasons for asking for a separate country called Draconian, I am dropping them. And we are now switching to the bandwagon of autonomy, etc. The law actually came only in 1967, not even in 63. 63 it was under consultation. This Unlawful Activities Prevention Act. At that time it was called an Anti-Separatism Act, that's all. Under that act, the offences listed were secession and cession, ceding of Indian territory to some other state, or advocating seceding of certain territory from India, such as the act. And the third was actively helping in these campaigns. Support to such a demand does not mean just writing in support of it or speaking in support of it. The Supreme Court has repeatedly interpreted these laws that there should be a criminal intent and there should be an effect on the people. They should be aroused in this direction or organized. Otherwise, just expressing an idea, this is good, this is bad, that does not attract these acts. But this act has now been broadened. The provisions of Pota have been incorporated into this UAP Act. Under Pota, under Tada, you can be held without bail for 60 days. Then Pota extended that period. Now, this UAPA has taken this to 180 days. Even without a charge sheet, you can place it. In South Africa, there was an act called the 90 Days Act. It was considered most draconian. The whole world opposed it. Even the Human Rights Commission opposed it. For 90 days, you can be held incommunicado. The police can keep you wherever they want and do their interrogation and investigation, etc. Such acts, as of now, apart from India, only Israel follows such acts. They have even harsher laws in the name of countering terrorism, etc. So, such acts, now we have the UAPA, as you know. We were here just witnessing an interview by my friend Gautam Navlekha. And these people, some of them have been put behind bars in the name of UAPA. And the Supreme Court's judgment, apart from that, one minority view has held that the Supreme Court is not the right forum to ask for relief in such cases. So that's a story that's going on, and I will have to go in detail about the purpose, the state missionary, purpose of the police and the government in having these laws and invoking them as they please, etc. For me, as for the Draconian laws are concerned, Tada, APA, whatever it is, there cannot be a use and misuse of it. Using itself is misuse. Because, as Gandhiji said, it was lawless law. It means they don't stand the test of being law, being a law itself. The name of law, you are unleashing lawlessness on the people. The state missionary unleashes lawlessness because these laws are not based upon the wisdom or foolishness of the lawgivers or the lawmakers. They are not based upon any accidental turns of events. They are not even based upon who the Prime Minister and the Law Minister is. They are purely based upon class interests, social outlooks. These laws, as you know, may easily be struck down as being against the values of the Constitution, but they are not. There is the protection of 19(1)(a) of journalists. Now, 123 is not famous, 124 is very famous. The governor is fond of counting numbers as 124. What is the need of invoking such a section in the APSC which has never been looked upon even by lawyers? It clearly speaks about assault. See, when speaking of draconian laws, I would like to point out, law means not complete acts. Even sections of acts can be draconian. Such a law is what they call the sedition law. In 1860, Macaulay, the Draco of the British period, he was a lawgiver. He drafted the Indian Penal Code and 124 was there. Then in 1880, an amendment was added, that was the 124A, capital A, that is the amendment. What was the stated objective and purpose of such a law? They say in order to prevent sedition or punish sedition. What is sedition? In these days, sedition is being translated as Deshatroham, Deshyo. There is not an atom of nation in sedition, even linguistically. Sedition has nothing to do with opposing any nation or nations. Sedition simply means opposing the state, opposing the government. If you have a right to support a government, the same right accrues to me to oppose it, if I have reasonable grounds for it. And this sedition was particularly a law of the monarchy. The monarchy was considered sacred. It was a holy seat of power. Everything was done in the name of the king or the queen. The opposition was there, it was called the queen's opposition. The government was the queen's government. Every decision was done in the name of the queen or the king. So royalty was sacrosanct. So if a citizen dares to question this authority, say the word sovereignty itself springs from the word sovereign. Sovereign means the king. One sovereign means a coin where the king's head is there. So all these concepts, sovereignty, sedition, all these concepts spring from a loyalty to royalty. It's a basis. So this law deterred a subject, not a citizen, a subject, from questioning the authority of the king, authority of the emperor, authority of the crown. How can it survive in a republic? When the monarchy has gone, how can it survive? But they keep it there. Even Britain continues to have retains its monarchy, constitutional monarchy, but they have dropped 124 or 124. They don't have a sedition law in their law book, written or unwritten. But these people do have it. Now in the place of the king or the queen, there is the government. There are the prime ministers and ministers who live more luxuriously than kings and emperors and queens. They consider themselves the kings, lords of all this family. They don't think that in order to sign and in order to agree to a contract for weapons, we have to take the defense minister along. The prime minister decides, the defense minister just falls in line. So this sedition is an anachronism. Is an anachronism in law. Everybody repeats it. The irony of the thing is, nobody never gets convicted of 124 or 123. I have certain cases against me under 124A for certain speeches, that's all. So many people are being charged with 124A. But the cases are not pursued at all. They don't produce evidence. They don't try to make out a case at all. There is no charge sheet at all. Why? This is the real aim behind such draconian pieces of legislation, anachronistic pieces of legislation. They should really feel ashamed of having such laws in order to rule this country. In 1933 or so, when the Congress party appointed a committee for drafting a new constitution of India under Motilal Nehru, Jawaharlal Nehru was a member of that committee. There was a discussion in that constitution framing committee whether we need preventive detention laws in free India or not. Because they had suffered under such laws, beginning with Rowlatt Act. Now there was a discussion. Jawaharlal Nehru said, no, we don't need such laws in free India. If this country can be governed with the help of one such law, I would like not to rule this country even for a single day. The fact of the matter is, the Republic of India has not earned its bread without such a law even for a single day. They continue to have such laws. In the beginning there was a Defense of India rules. Then came, during the emergency we had visa. And after the 1977 elections, a new government, Janata government inspired by Jayaprakash Narayanan, they had to drop visa from the statute, but just for 2 years. Then 1980 they brought up NSA, National Security Act. MISA, the place of MISA was NISA. That continues even till this day. So these preventive detention laws, draconian laws, anachronistic laws, laws of the Raj, laws of the British Raj, laws of the colonial period, they continue there. Why? That is a question we are faced with. Why do they need such laws? They file so many cases against so many people. Subsequently, every struggle, every event, now every public meeting. What was the purpose of it? See, I would like to draw your attention. We go back to the Rowlatt Act, the struggle against the Rowlatt Act itself, 1990. The recent firing in Thoothukudi, 13 or 15 people were killed in a cold-blooded way. People compared it to Jallianwala Bagh. Jallianwala Bagh in Amritsar, Punjab. The massacre of Jallianwala Bagh was on April 13, 1990. People had gathered in that park and the British soldiers under General Dyer, these details you must already know. Actually, Congress leaders Satyapal Manik and Saifuddin Kichu, they had been arrested, they were about to be exiled, The people had gathered there. General Dyer opened fire. It was continuous firing for more than 10 minutes. 1,600 rounds were fired. And he and his soldiers did the firing until the ammunition was exhausted. People could get away from the park only through one park, only one gate was there. All other gates had been closed. And this incident was described by Winston Churchill in the British Parliament. He was at that time Secretary of State for War Affairs. He described this incident as an outrage. At the same time, there were lords who praised General Dyer, etc. According to the government, more than 317, the actual number was 379, were dead, and nearly 1,000 were wounded. The Congress party gave an account of 1,000 killed and more than 2,000 wounded. There is a hue and cry all over the land. It was there in Britain also. And an inquiry panel was appointed under Hunter. It was called the Hunter Commission. The Hunter Commission made a detailed inquiry, not only in London but also in India also. And General Dyer was summoned to explain what happened, why he did it. And General Dyer said, he had already said it even before the commission was appointed. He had given a statement that he did it to safeguard the honor of the British throne. And he said, I shot them, I fired on them, not to disperse the meeting or the crowd. That was his statement. But to punish the Indians for their disobedience. These Indians had to be punished for their disobedience, not for dispersing the crowd. Because there was no violence in the crowd, there was no need to disperse them at all. Then before the Hunter Commission, he gave a detailed statement. It said, I ordered a firing, such a firing. These are his words, quoted by Rajini Pamindra in his India Today history book. To create a moral effect from a military point of view, not only on those who were present, but more especially throughout Punjab. So the aim was to create a moral effect with military means, by military means, not only on those who were present, the thousands present were there. This firing would have terrorized them, no question about that. But I did it not just to terrorize these people who had gathered, but in order to terrorize the whole of Punjab. Punjab at that time was the forefront of the independence struggle. It carried the torch of independence. It was a spearhead of the struggle against Crown Act, against British imperialism. So he wanted to make an impact all over Punjab. That was his aim. That was the aim of the Crown Act. That was the aim of his defense of the act. That was the aim of the firing on those who dared to oppose this act. And for the Road Satyagraha that Gandhiji organized. He was arrested and produced before a judge. Gandhi said he was actually charged with sedition. This is 124A. In 1906, the charge was slapped against Balagangadhar Tilagan. He was sentenced to 6 years imprisonment. He was put behind bars in Burma, in today's Burma, Myanmar, Mandela prison. The news somehow reached Comrade Lenin. He wrote about this in Iskra or some other party magazine, that when Tilagar was arrested for sedition and sentenced to 6 years imprisonment, the working class of Bombay, now Mumbai, it protested against the arrest and conviction of Tilagar and struck work in solidarity. And Lenin wrote, the Indian working class has come of age. It actually gave him so much of delight and enthusiasm that working class was participating in such a struggle. Tilagar was charged with sedition, now Gandhi. Gandhi said, "Sir, please convict me and give me a sentence of imprisonment as long as this law allows. Because I consider sedition to be my duty. Where the government is satanic, sedition is my duty." These were the words that Gandhi spoke to the magistrate. And such was the struggle. And what is the use? The same law continues to be on the law books. Whether it was the white man or the nominally black man or a brown man in the Raj Bhavan, the same goes on. 124 or 124 for writing against the government or the government officials. So their purpose is to terrorize the people at large. That is what I want to, what the point I want to drive home. In the name of anti-terrorism, they are enacting terrorist laws and unleashing terrorist laws against the people. The fighting people, those who fight for their rights. They want to horrify the people. Not only that makes the comparison between Jallianwala Bagh and Thoothukudi, not the numbers. Then it was 1,000. Now here, just 15 or so. Not the numbers. But the intention, the ulterior motive of the state missionary. They want to threaten the people. You dare to oppose the government. You dare to oppose our plans for development, etc. Then face this. The number of those killed is just in tens or scores. But those who witness it, those who hear of it, those days of limited communication, they spoke of merely Punjab. No, it's not Punjab. After the Thoothukudi incident of May 22, what did they do? They stopped all internet, etc. for 3 days. Why? They don't want the news to spread. But their version of the news is spreading. They do everything to spread that news. So this is the actual real aim behind these laws and their implementation. And to charge these people with racism or racism, Maoism, Marxism. These are all actually not sustainable arguments even before their courts of law. Just calling the dog mad before killing it. Say he is a Maoist. So you can do anything with him. You can put him behind bars, you can slap, there is laws against him, black laws against him. Nobody will be questioning him or not. I just want to remind you of what Arundhati Roy spoke in Chennai when we had a seminar against what they call the green hunt in Tatakaranya, especially Bastar, Chhattisgarh, etc. She clearly said 99% of the Maoists are tribals, but 99% of the tribals are not Maoists. It's a very important statement. When your land is being stolen by the government, you are robbed of your livelihood, you are driven out of the forest where you have lived for generations, you are made homeless, not only by forces like CRPF or CISF or the army, etc., but even by forces such as Salwa Judum, Ranbir Sena, etc., illegal armies, nourished by the government, protected by the government, armed by the government. When you are being driven out, what a simple man does is oppose it. Where there is a chance we oppose it with a hammer strike, where there is a chance we oppose it with dharna. But the deep forest, where even to this day the light of the media doesn't fall, what can they do? They oppose guns with guns. You don't need Maoism or Marxism even for such a self-defense. If Maoists, the dedicated people who believe in such ideology for social change, for liberation, for a new life, they go forward and organize them in this struggle. They go forward and harness their powers scientifically. There's nothing wrong about it. It is their duty. Whenever the government accuses people like me of instigating the masses, I tell them, yes, I am born to instigate them. I breathe and eat to instigate them. That is my duty. That is my social duty. If you can instigate the military to shoot at us, if you can instigate the police to kill us through fake encounters, etc., we have also a right to instigate our people, stand up and fight. There's nothing wrong about it. So calling these elderly people, my good friend Maravara Rona Wilson, these are all there for decades. They are writing. What is the government's purpose in putting them behind bars in the name of Bhima Koregan or something else? They speak of a plot to kill the Prime Minister. So the Prime Ministers all over the world, they are in the danger of being killed. It's quite natural. Nothing to be surprised at all. Otherwise you won't have so much of security. Why NSG? Why the black cats or so many things? Why these? Why so much is expended? So that may be true. I don't question it at all. But that does not mean you can put everybody behind bar saying he wants to kill the Prime Minister, etc. There is a letter, etc. That cannot be accepted at all. Draconian was killed by gods. So many people have been killed in history. Rajiv Gandhi was killed, his Bofort's friend Olof Palme was killed in Sweden. In the US itself, Kennedy was killed, then his brother was killed. Abraham Lincoln was killed. So that is occupational assault, as you may call it. That's just an occupational assault. You go to Kashmir to hoist the national flag, and 1,000 military men are surrounding you to protect you. That's quite another thing. That does not mean you can charge everybody with trying to kill you, or thinking of killing you, or dreaming of killing you. It's quite absurd. The Home Ministry has put out a circular as for the guidelines to be followed in providing security to the Prime Minister. One of the important guidelines is no minister should go near him. No bureaucratic official should go near him. So if you are fearing for his life, even from his co-ministers or from his Armed Forces Special Powers Act, recently a prominent daily has put its editorial that civil officials are afraid of the army because it uses APSC against them. So many Burma Commission and another judicial commission in recent times has advised the government against scrapping APSC or scrapping its application in Meghalaya, Manipur, etc. But nothing moves. So these acts, by these acts, what can you do? The other day I asked, you put me behind prisons, put me in jail under UAPA. Even then prison will be a prison. Will I be asked to lie on a bed of thorns? Then only there will be a stony thorn. I don't expect a cushion from you and a mattress from you. If a life convict or a UAPA convict or a remand prisoner, I will be given the same food. We have through our prison struggles made prison tolerable and livable. It's not like that in those days. So prison is not something to be feared. See, some of our people go to prison, others continue to fight there. Putting together all the central prisons and other kind of prisons, special prisons, etc. Can you put behind bars a lack of people? The whole population can be imprisoned. No. That cannot be done at all. That is impossible. Humanly impossible. So if we put our resources together, if we stand firm, we can prove all these laws to be meaningless. And friends, in the end, I'd like to focus attention on one question. Generally, these draconian laws, these ruled by draconian laws, and their application, their enforcement, sometimes excessive enforcement, etc. They are put in short as fascism. This fascism sometimes comes with Hindutva, sometimes it comes without Hindutva, etc. Recently, Prasad Bhushan was in Chennai and he said the center is trying to make Tamil Nadu a fascist labyrinth by implementing so many programs, the Neduvasal, Kadiramangalam, this Thuthukudi, so many things they are trying to implement. After so much of sacrifice and so much of bloodshedding and so much of controversy, discussion, debate, after all these, they are trying to reopen Sterling. Even Rajini said he won't be a man if he reopens Sterling. I don't know what he is going to say now. They are mobilizing people, mobilizing petitions, carrying bunches. They want to somehow protect not a single factory, but their line of development. In the name of development, they want to lay this Salem Chennai Greenways Road. So why don't you come out for a discussion, I ask? You may be right. You could be right. But come out for a discussion. Why do you avoid a discussion? Why do you crush a discussion itself? Come to the people. You say this road is necessary for us, for your development, etc. If people accept, no problem. But you crush people giving pamphlets, distributing pamphlets, speaking against them. Somebody comes from Delhi to meet the people and gather their viewpoints. He is put to impasse. Why this? What kind of development have you given these people all these years, all these months and days? The government of India and its ideology and its administration didn't come yesterday. It is there for years, and we are also there for years. There are two lines of development. We are also for development. You say inclusive development, but you include only Anil Ambani in the Rafale deal. You don't include HAM. This is your inclusive development. My side is not on behalf of HAL or anything else. You don't need such weaponry at all. This poor country will not afford such a thing. Whom do you want to fight? Against whom you want to defend yourself? Why? Who is the threat? Is Sri Lanka a threat? Is Bangladesh a threat? If you say Pakistan is a threat and US is behind it, your Rafales are not going to protect you against US. Can it? Your nuclear weapons will not protect you. The Soviet Union had thousands of nuclear weapons. Those nuclear weapons failed to protect it against its own internal collapse. Is this your concept of security, national security? In 2004, when Manmohan Singh came to power for the first time, with the blessings of the World Bank and IMF, he said, India's national security is being threatened by Maoists. How many Maoists? How many of them were in the states? No. Because his idea of national security was not securing agriculture, not securing small industries, not securing employment. It is just securing profits for the multinationals. If this security is being threatened, it can be threatened only by those who stand for an alternative path of development, not your path. And we saw how actually this threat to so-called security developed under him and continues to develop under Modi. So, this alternative idea, the alternative path, people have to defend themselves. They suggest a different line of development. Let us discuss. I want to tell you. Why don't you come forward for talks? Once when we were intent on carrying out an armed struggle, you were telling us, come on, let us talk. Now when we asked you, come on, let us talk, you talk only, you speak only with your guns. You speak only with your warrants and obnoxiously Draconian laws. So what is the alternative? What is the suggestion? This fascism, so-called fascism, I think is not something like a whole or a whole rock. It's only a tendency. It may be semi-fascist, quarter-fascist, fully fascist, etc. So this is a tendency. It is not there in the blood of somebody like Modi or somebody like the police officials, etc. It is a social tendency which has its basis certain classes of society which need such an approach. Once upon a time, during the Second World War, the United States, Britain, France, and Soviet Russia, they joined together to oppose Hitler's fascism. But subsequent to the war, McCarthyism sprang up in the United States. What did McCarthy have to do with Hitler? McCarthyism was another form of fascism. If Hitler's Nazism was one form of fascism, original fascism was from Italy, Mussolini's Italy. Tojo's Japan followed another version. Now, subsequent to the war, subsequent to the defeat of fascism, subsequent to the suicide of Hitler himself, subsequent to the killing of Mussolini himself, subsequent to Hiroshima, Nagasaki, etc., there also arose a new kind of fascism in the name of McCarthy. How is it possible? So, certain class interests, they give rise to fascist tendencies continuously. See, we heard of this word fascism in India not now. In 1975, who was the fascist then? Draconian. What was the fascist rule called? Emergency. In West Bengal, it was called semi-fascist terrorism. They postponed elections by a year, etc. So many things can be told. Lakhs were arrested and put behind bars under this law. So it's not a question of removing Modi, etc. It's a question of removing fascist rule. One fascist cannot be an alternative to another. We have to build up people's struggle, mass struggles, mass organization. That is a true guarantee against fascism. As the congressman or those who are dying to ally with him, will you drop NSA if you come to power? Will you drop Draconian laws if you come to power? Will you not use again the same Draconian laws? Will you not enact any Draconian laws? They just keep on. So I say we have to oppose these Draconian laws, the power of the people, the fighting masses. And with that I would like to end my speech. If there are questions, I can answer. Thank you.